Hello everybody, welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm Brian Stuart. We're on Lesson 4, and in Lesson 4, we're talking about animals help people. So we're going to focus on, pay attention to, how do animals help people? How do animals help people? We're going to look at many different ways that animals help people in this lesson. But first, we have to learn some vocabulary. Now, the first vocabulary word we're going to listen to or learn is this one here. This is a picture of a place in front of your house. What is this? It's a bell outside the door. You press it. It goes ding dong, right? Ding dong. What is that? It's a kind of bell, and it's at the door. It's at the door, and it's a bell. It's a doorbell. That's pretty easy. It's a doorbell. It's outside the door, and it is a bell. You push it, ding dong, sounds like a bell. So it's a doorbell. In front of your house, you have a doorbell. When somebody visits you, they press the doorbell. So doorbell, doorbell. It's two words that make one word, door and bell. Doorbell, very easy. Okay, the next word, what is this? This is very old, right? Probably you have a small one in your pocket. Something you use to talk to your friend. So you want to talk to your friend, you take this out of your pocket or your backpack. You can call your friend on it, and you can talk to your friend. What is it? What is it called? It's a telephone. 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 3 syllables or 3 sounds. Telephone. 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 Very easy. Of course, this is a very old telephone, right? We don't use those anymore. We use the very small or sometimes big pocket or cell phones. But it's a telephone. It's basically a telephone that we use to talk with our friend. Okay, the next word, what's this? This looks very interesting, doesn't it? This is a clock, so it's a type of clock, right? We tell time, but look at this. What are these things here? Those are bells again. Another type of bell, right? And at a certain time, those bells sound, ding, right? So what is this? It's a clock that wakes you up in the morning. Maybe you use this, maybe you use your cell phone. Probably you use your cell phone. But a long time ago, when I was younger, we used one of these to wake up in the morning. What is it called? It's an alarm clock. So it's a clock, right? It's a clock. What kind of clock? Alarm. Alarm means make a big sound. Alarm, ding, right? So an alarm clock is what we use to wake up in the morning. We need a very loud sound to wake up, right? Some people need a really, really loud sound to wake up. Some people, they sleep, they keep sleeping. Okay, so you need a very loud alarm clock to wake up in the morning. Alarm clock. Okay, our next word. Wow, this looks very interesting, right? Unhappy. He looks very sad, right? Because you are alone. If he's alone, he's very sad, right? It almost looks like a human, right? But it looks like a baby gorilla. So very interesting picture, but he looks sad because he's what? He's alone, so he is lonely. If you are alone, you are by yourself. You are by yourself. There are no friends, no family around you. You are by yourself. You are alone. How do you feel? You are lonely. Lonely. Be careful with L, lonely. We have 2 L's. Lonely. 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 So hopefully, I hope you don't feel lonely. But sometimes we feel lonely because we are alone. There are no friends or family around us. In that time, we feel lonely. Okay, next, somewhere where only animals live. Only animals, no humans. So it's in nature, some place where there are no humans, and animals live without humans. They don't live with humans. What do we call this place? We say it's in the wild. In the wild. The wild is a place where there are no humans, no villages, no towns, no roads, no humans around, just animals. Only animals live there in the wild. Wild. W is like w, wild. And then we have LD, wild. D is when your jaw drops. D. Wild. Wild. So in the wild. Okay, the next word, giving help. So if something is giving help, what are they doing? What do we say for this word? We say helpful, because it's like full, right? This word here, full, two L's, means you have a lot of. It's full, right? But we only have one L here when we put it as an adjective. Helpful. Helpful. If somebody or something is helpful, they are giving help. So helpful, helpful, helpful. That is the word that means you are giving help. Okay, here's another word. This is a very funny picture, right? Very cute, right? We have a small animal on top of the girl's head. It's her pet, right? A small animal that lives with you. And I just said the word, right? So a small animal that lives with you, it can be a gerbil, it can be a hamster, it can be a dog, it can be a cat, it can be a bird. But it's a small animal that lives with you, not in the wild, but in your house. We call that, of course, a pet. I said that before, right? Do you have a pet? Many houses have a pet, like a dog or a cat, very common pets. But also a hamster, you could say hamster. A hamster is also a very common type of pet. They're fun, aren't they? They're very cute. And also, they make us so we are not lonely. We have something to play with or something to love and to play with. Okay. What's this guy doing? That's crazy. What is he doing? It's exciting and not boring. So this kid is exciting, right? It's kind of exciting. We look at him, wow, what is he doing with his eyes? That's very strange. And his smile is very funny too, right? Because he's missing a tooth. He's missing a tooth. So if something is exciting, not boring, we say it is fun. It's fun. Let's do something for fun. Let's have fun. We want to be excited. We don't want to be bored. It's fun. Let's have fun. Okay. Here, this man, he cannot see. Not able to see. We know that very quickly because people who are like him have a long stick, and it's this color, white and red, and they use it so they can feel where they are going because they cannot see. What do we call this situation? We say blind. This person is blind. It's unfortunate. It's too bad. But sometimes this happens. So this person is blind. They cannot see. Blind. Okay, so the word is blind. Okay. Now, to move from one side to the other. So you're on one side of the street and you want to go to the other side of the street or river or anything. You want to go from one side, you want to go to the other side. What do we say? We say cross. I want to cross the street. Cross is a verb, right? So cross the street. Cross the street. Let's cross the street. We want to cross the street. So use cross as a verb. Let's go across, that's different. Let's cross the street. If you use across, that's a different word. Cross is the word that we use for a verb. Let's cross the street. You should cross the street here. Not here, you should cross here. Okay? So cross is a verb. Let's cross the street. Okay. This is another verb, to try. To try to hear sounds carefully. So, it's very cute, isn't he, with the little feet? Okay, but look at these big headphones. By the way, these are headphones. They're very big for this little boy, really big. And he's listening, right? He is listening carefully. He's trying to hear sounds. Listen. So you listen to something. He's probably listening to music. To listen. Listen. Listen carefully. Okay? If I'm telling you something, listen carefully. But we listen to different things. To listen. To try to hear sounds carefully. Listen. Okay. Another one. To stay until something happens. So you're staying in one place. And you're what until something happens? You're staying until something happens. What are you doing? You are waiting. So before you cross the street, wait. Don't just cross the street. Stop. Wait. Look. Both sides. Then cross the street when it's safe. But you should wait before crossing the street. To stay. Stay here. Don't move. Wait until something happens. It's safe. Okay, then we can cross. But you should wait first. To stay until something happens. Wait. Okay, let's review these words that we just learned. We've learned a lot of words, right? Now let's match these words to the sentences. We have sentences. We know what the words mean. Let's now use them in sentences. See if we can get them right. Our words are telephone, telephone, doorbell, doorbell, lonely, lonely, alarm clock, alarm clock, helpful, helpful, wild, wild. Those are our words. We need to use these words in sentences. So let's see how we can do. Number one, Mary cleaned the room with me. She is what? Okay, so what happened? Me, wanted to clean the room. Oh, you have to clean your room. It's terrible, right? It's very difficult. You have to put everything away. But somebody will do it with you. Mary's going to clean the room with you. She's going to help you. So if Mary helps you clean the room, she is what? She is giving help, so she is helpful. Mary is helpful. She is helpful. She cleaned the room with me. She helped me, so she is helpful. Okay, number two. Tigers. You know tigers, right? Tigers are very big cats, like lions, right? Tigers live in the what? Tigers live in a place where there aren't humans, right? Tigers don't live with people. That's dangerous, right? Tigers live over there. People live over here, right? So tigers live in the what? Where there are no humans. They live in the wild. They live in the wild. We talked about that, right? A place where there are no humans. And tigers don't live with humans. Tigers are not pets. They are wild animals. They live in the wild. Okay, so that's number two. Number three, I knocked. Knocked? Tuck, 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 right? I knocked on the door and rang the what? So, outside your front door at your house, if somebody wants to visit you, they want to get your attention. Hey, open the door. They can knock, tuck, 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 or they can press what? It's some type of bell. It's outside the house. It is a doorbell. So they ring the doorbell or rang, past tense. Ring the doorbell, he rang the doorbell. He knocked and he rang the doorbell. Two ways to get somebody's attention. Knock, duck, 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 duck. Ring the doorbell. Ding dong, right? That's doorbell. Okay, let's move to number 4. I talk to my friends on the. On the what? When we talk to your friends, remember the word that we studied, right? You probably have one in your pocket or in your bag. It's very small now. We saw the picture of the very old style, right? But of course, when you talk to your friends on the telephone, right? So you talk to your friends on the telephone. Okay, number 5. John is at home by himself. By himself. Remember before I wrote by yourself. But John is at home by himself. That's okay, right? By himself. No friends are around him. No family members are around him. He's the only person at home. So, how does he feel? He feels lonely. He is alone. Nobody is with him. He is lonely. He's at home by himself. Okay, number 6. My beep wakes me up. Wakes me up in the morning. So it's a thing that we use. Remember one of the vocabulary words we used? It's a thing that wakes you up in the morning. It has a clock on it. You set the time, and at a certain time it goes ding, right? It has to be loud, so it wakes you up. Some people are sleeping too hard. It doesn't wake them up. But you want it to wake you up. What is it? It's a type of clock. It is an alarm clock. An alarm clock. My alarm clock wakes me up in the morning. So your alarm clock will wake you up in the morning. Okay, so that's a good lesson. We've learned a lot of different words, and we reviewed with putting those words in sentences. Let's take a short break here, and we'll come back and look at the reading section. Okay, guys, welcome back. We're on lesson 4. We're talking about how animals help people. There are many ways animals help people. So let's find out some of those ways. First, we have many animals live in the wild. We learned wild before. Wild is there are no people living there, no humans. So those animals don't live with humans, they live in the wild. Those animals don't help people because they don't live with people. They're apart from people. But some animals live with people. So some animals live in the wild away from people, but some animals live with people. We have 2 types of animals, wild animals and animals that live with people. These animals, what animals? The animals that live with people, those animals. These animals that live with people are pets. We talked about pets. Pets are small animals that live in people's homes, like dogs, cats, hamsters, fish, birds, right? These animals are pets. Having a pet is great, right? Having a pet is fun. Pets are very cute, but you have to take care of your pet, right? Be responsible with your pet. Having a pet is great, terrific, wonderful, yay, very happy, right? Is great. Why? Because pets are fun to play with. Pets are fun to play with. You can play with your pets. That's one reason. Also, pets help us not to be lonely. Not to be lonely. So, if we are lonely, we have a pet, then we aren't lonely. We can play with our dog. We can play with our cat. Pets help us not to be lonely. Pets can be very important too. So here we see 2 ways that pets are great. 1, we can play with them. 2, they help us not be lonely. And we have an idea here, Pets can be very important too. We have to read more to find out how they can be important also, not just to play with and not just to help us feel not lonely, but also they can be important. But first, let's review. Many animals live in the wild, but some live with people. These animals are pets. Having a pet is great. They are fun to play with. Pets help us not to be lonely. Pets can be very important too. This is an important sentence. Let's find out how pets can be very important. Let's continue. This is how pets can be important. Some people need their pet to help them. So pets can be very important because they can help people. For example, many blind people, remember blind means they cannot see. People who are blind, they can't see. But pets, right? Many blind people have dogs for pets. Dogs help them walk. So this dog here is helping this person who is blind. They help them walk. The dog will help that person walk and say, be careful, watch out, right? Well, it won't say that, but it will help the person know by what the dog does. Dogs help blind people walk. So some people need their pet to help them. Many blind people have dogs as pets. Dogs help them, the blind people, right? The blind people, them walk. So dogs help blind people walk. This is how pets can be important too for many people. Let's review. Some people need their pet to help them. Many blind people have dogs for pets. Dogs help them walk. So this is one example of how dogs can help people in a very important way. Let's move on. They help blind people cross the street. They, of course, are the dogs that are the pets. Dogs help blind people, what do? Cross the street. If somebody's blind, they can't see if the car is coming. They don't know. But the dog can help them, right? Without a dog, a blind person might fall. Also, a blind person might fall down. The dog can know if there's a change in the road. So without a dog, if the blind people don't have a dog, a blind person might fall down. Dogs help blind people get home. Get home, arrive home, go back home, right? So blind people, they have to go outside. Maybe they want to walk for exercise. They go to the store to buy things. Then they have to go back home. They have to return to their home. So dogs help blind people return home safely, get home safely, so that they don't have a problem. They won't fall down or a car doesn't hit them. Without a dog, a blind person might get lost, right? So without a dog, a blind person might get lost. They don't know where the home is. So how do they know which way to go? They can use a dog. We have two interesting expressions. Without a dog, right? This means if they don't have a dog. If there is no dog, then he might fall. He might get lost. Two things that might happen, maybe happen. Not for sure, but maybe it will happen. One, the blind person might fall down. Two, the blind person might get lost. Without a dog, these things could happen. It's possible. Okay, let's review. They help blind people cross the street. Without a dog, a blind person might fall. Dogs help blind people get home safely. Without a dog, a blind person might get lost. So without a dog, a blind person might get lost. And without a dog, a blind person might fall. Two different ways to say what would happen if the person doesn't have a dog. Okay, not just blind people, also deaf people. Many deaf people have dogs too. Wait, deaf? What does that mean? A blind person cannot see. A deaf person cannot hear. Okay? So a deaf person cannot hear. Many deaf people have dogs too. Dogs help them hear things. So, just like dogs help blind people because they can't see, dogs also help deaf people not to hear things, but to know when things happen. Okay? Dogs listen for the doorbell. So if I go to somebody's home, I ring the doorbell, ding dong. A deaf person cannot hear, but the dog can hear, and the dog can go to the person, and touch that person and get excited. A deaf person can see the dog. Oh, what's up? Oh, the doorbell. Okay. Dogs again. Dogs wait for the telephone to ring. So a deaf person who has a dog, the dog waits in the home waiting for the doorbell to ring or for the telephone to ring. Because a deaf person can't hear the doorbell. A deaf person can't hear the telephone, but the dog can. So the dog can help the owner, the person, to hear those things or to know those things happened. So let's review. Many deaf people have dogs too. Dogs help them hear things. They listen for the doorbell, the dogs. They wait for the telephone to ring. So then they can tell the deaf people these things happened. Okay, they touch you if they hear something. They are dogs, right? Dogs, they touch you. So the dog hears the doorbell, goes to the person and touches that person or licks that person, right? And the deaf person goes, what? What's going on? And the dog can tell the person, hey, the doorbell rang. The telephone is ringing. Okay. Dogs can also be alarm clocks. A dog can be an alarm clock. You can wind it up, say, okay, you go off at 6 o'clock. Of course, dogs know. They know what time it is. When the sun comes up, right? They can go and wake somebody up. Hey, the sun came up. Get up. Wake up. Don't sleep anymore. I have a dog. In the morning, the dog knows when it's time to eat. So the dog barks, ruff, ruff, I'm hungry. So we know, okay, get up, go feed the dog. So dogs can be alarm clocks too. Okay, look at how helpful they can be. They are the dogs again, right? Dogs. Dogs can be very helpful. They help people in many ways. They help blind people. They help deaf people. They help everybody as alarm clocks. They can help us in many different ways. Do you have a pet at home? Do you have a pet, an animal at your house? Is it helpful too? Is it helpful? Is your dog helpful? Do you have a cat? Is your cat helpful? Cats sometimes aren't helpful, but they make us not be lonely, so they can be helpful. Fish, birds, they make us happy, so they can be helpful. Is it helpful? Is your pet helpful also? Okay, let's review. Dogs, they touch you if they hear something. Dogs can also be alarm clocks. Look at how helpful they can be. Do you have a pet at home? Is it helpful too? So a couple of different questions at the end of this reading passage. Okay, let's do our reading comprehension questions. We just read a passage about how animals can help us. So let's see how well we remember the reading and see if we can answer these questions. Number 1, this story is about. What is this story about? What's the main subject of this story? A, helpful animals. B, getting lost, C, helpful things, D, crossing the road. Well, of course, this reading passage was about animals that help us, how animals can help us. So it was talking about helpful animals, animals that can help us. How can animals help us? B, getting lost. You might think, well, they talked about getting lost in the passage, right? Because blind people can get lost without a dog. But that's only a small detail of the reading passage. It's not the whole subject. It's just a small detail. The whole subject is helpful animals. Okay? What about C? Helpful things. Well, that's too wide, right? We're not talking about helpful things, anything. We're talking about more specific animals. So we're talking about helpful animals, not helpful things. We're talking about helpful animals. Things is too wide. It's more narrow. Animals are what we're talking about. Helpful animals. D, crossing the road. Well, yeah, we talked about crossing the road. Dogs help people cross the road. But again, that's a small detail. It's not about the whole passage. It's not the whole subject of the passage. So that's not good. Our correct answer, our best answer is A. This story is about helpful animals. Okay, number 2. Dogs can help beep. So what did we read about? What can dogs help people, or what can they help to do? How can they help? Dogs can help what? A, drive cars. B, blind and deaf people. C, cook dinner. D, doctors in surgery. So we see two kinds of groups in these answers. One is dogs can help do something, drive cars or cook dinner, or dogs can help people. Okay? So they can help do something or they can help people. Which is the right answer though? Dogs can help drive cars. Did we read in the story that dogs drive cars? No, that was not in the passage anything about dogs driving cars. Of course, we know dogs can't drive cars. That's very silly. Dogs can help blind and deaf people. That's what we read about in the passage. We saw an example. We saw examples how dogs can help blind people. They can help them cross the street. They can help them not get lost. They can help deaf people because they can hear the doorbell or the telephone. So yes, dogs can help blind and deaf people. That is true. That's our answer. Let's look at C. Dogs can help cook dinner. That's crazy, right? The passage didn't say that dogs can cook dinner, right? And of course we know that dogs can't cook dinner. Dogs can eat dinner. They eat it very well, but they can't cook dinner, right? And of course the passage didn't say anything about dogs cooking dinner. Did we read that dogs can help doctors in surgery? No, we didn't read anything about dogs in hospitals helping doctors in surgery. We didn't read anything about that, so that is not correct. The best answer, we read about how dogs can help blind and deaf people. That was one of the two of the main examples of the reading passage. So that's the right answer, B. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Some animals beep. What's the answer? A, grow lettuce. B, are lonely. C, drink oil. D, live with people. So when we look at this passage, remember at the beginning of the passage, we saw there are like two groups of animals. Some animals live in the wild, and some animals live with humans, right? That's what we need right here. But anyway, let's look at these answers. A, some animals grow lettuce. There was nothing in the passage about animals growing lettuce. That's silly. Some animals are lonely. Well, maybe, but we didn't read in the passage about animals being lonely. We read about people might be lonely, but not animals. So we didn't read about that. Some animals drink oil. There was nothing in the passage about animals drinking oil. That's kind of a silly thing anyway. So that's not the right answer. But then remember what I said. We said some animals live in the wild and some animals live with people. So there's two groups of animals, right? Some animals live in the wild. Some animals live with people as pets. So D is our right answer. Some animals live with people. Okay, let's move on to our last item here. This is a little wrap-up or review. How do pet dogs help people? So as we saw in the reading passage, we saw many different examples of how dogs help people. Here we can see this picture here. This is a dog helping a blind person. Dogs help blind people three main ways. They help blind people walk. They help blind people walk to where they're going. That's one. Two, they help blind people cross the street because there's many cars, right? So dogs help blind people cross the street. They wait until it's safe and then they cross the street. Dogs help blind people get home safely. Without dogs, blind people might get lost. So dogs help blind people get home safely. Okay, so that's how dogs help blind people. Dogs help deaf people in other ways. We read about those ways. One way, dogs help deaf people hear things. So if a deaf person cannot hear the doorbell, cannot hear the telephone, the dog can hear that and they can help the person know about that. They, dogs, touch deaf people if they hear something. So if dogs hear something like the doorbell or the telephone, they can touch the deaf person. Hey, there's something happening, right? Dogs can also be alarm clocks. So dogs can also go and lick somebody or touch somebody. Hey, get up. It's time to wake up. So dogs can also be alarm clocks. Okay, so this was lesson 4, and in lesson 4 we were talking about how animals help people. And of course we saw very specifically how dogs are very helpful animals, probably the most helpful pet, but many pets can be helpful. We saw how dogs can help blind people, dogs can help deaf people, but dogs can help everybody. All animals can help everybody. Pets can help us not to feel lonely, so we aren't lonely. We can also play with pets, and we can learn a lot of important things from pets too. How to take care of pets, how to care for other things. So pets are very useful, and pets can really help us. And of course, we help pets too. So that's a good question. Do you have a pet at home? Is it a helpful pet? I hope that it is. I hope that it helps you and it helps make your life better. Okay, well that wraps it up for this lesson. We'll see you again next time. Take care.